Sally Azar and I come from Jerusalem. I'm currently in Germany and I'm doing my internship to become a pastor. I have studied theology in Lebanon and in Germany, in Göttingen, and it happens to be that I'm going to be the first woman pastor in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Jordan and the Holy Land. I'm very excited about that step, and I know it's going to be very challenging for a woman to become a pastor in such a society. But I have so many supportive friends and family and also pastors and the bishop who happens to be my father, but they're all very excited as well as I am, and so I'm happy about that. For this week of Advent, we're talking about the journey, and when reading the text about Mary and Elizabeth, it reminded me of the tree and how the tree branches expand. It starts off with a big branch and grows into smaller branches. And I've always been fascinated by the trees and the branches. And in our Palestinian context, the olive tree plays a big role, which we have since over 2,000 years, where you can find still olive trees since back then. And I feel like it's something so huge, like thinking about, oh, these trees were here when Jesus was here. And so it's a big part of our Palestinian culture as well. And even olive wood, olive oil, and all of these things. And so everything, like the journey of Mary and Elizabeth started, and it wasn't only a journey, and it started, but it hasn't also ended. It is one that is still ongoing till today. The story of Elizabeth and Mary meeting was only one step of the journey being one big branch that is spreading out. There are two situations that are uncommon and not accepted in the society at that time, which we recognize in that story. One is Elizabeth being pregnant at a high-risk age, and the second is Mary being pregnant as an unmarried woman from the Holy Spirit. Nevertheless, both took up these situations in spite of everything else around them. The voice of God is visible in these stories and is louder than the voices of the people around them who might not have accepted them back then. God's ways are different from our ways. That we could see in Mary and Elizabeth's stories. Both didn't expect what happened to them. Mary and Elizabeth showed that with God's strength, everything can be conquered, even the opinions and judgments of the people. The difficulties weren't important, but God's strength played a bigger role, and together they made each other strong. My journey of becoming a pastor in the Holy Land is a long one. Yet, I don't know what or how this journey will be once I get there. I can relate to the situation of Mary and Elizabeth and how society might have looked at them as it was something uncommon. Ordaining a woman and becoming a pastor in a society that isn't used to it will be challenging. Yet, I don't know if that will be the case when I return back home from my studies and practical year to become a pastor there. Growing up in the society, knowing our congregation, and having so many supportive people gives me strength and encouragement to go back and be there for them. I'm sure there will be difficulties. However, having such strong women as well as pastors in our church fighting for gender justice makes me happy and glad, as through their active work they are building a strong ground to walk on. Today we see the strength every day in our women in the society, just like Mary and Elizabeth started this journey, showing us the strength and guidance of God. The journey didn't end yet and is still ongoing. The journey branched out in many different directions, not only in Palestine, but also in the US, in Germany, and all around the world. All the branches will branch out and will make a beautiful tree in the end, and most importantly, it will be throughout God's guidance and being the center all the way through. I am very grateful to have a supportive family and friends and strong women around me. Imagining Mary and Elizabeth uniting to strengthen each other, I see that every day in our society, whether by drinking coffee, cooking together, or knitting together, as it is also common in our society. Throughout all these activities, even unconsciously, they are talking, encouraging each other, and passing on God's promise to each other. Mary and Elizabeth started the journey showing us where their strength came from, as well as God's presence and promise through them. God has guided them throughout their whole journey, just as He also guided me and our women today throughout my journey in Palestine and all the women around the world. One day when you come and visit Palestine, you are most welcome to come and have a cup of coffee together and talk about our journeys together, just as Mary and Elizabeth did, maybe also under an olive tree.